Hello again. This is my new Xiao Ruan, which recently came to me from China. Chinese is a tonal language, and Ruan has to be pronounced with a rising tone. Otherwise, the word might mean something else or be completely unintelligible. I'm probably still pronouncing it wrong. Anyway, the Ruan comes in 5 different sizes. There's a soprano size called the Gaoyin Ruan, which means the high-pitched Ruan, and alto size, the Xiao Ruan, which means small Ruan, a tenor size called the zhong Ruan, which means medium Ruan, a bass called the Da Ruan, which means large Ruan, and the very big contrabass, which is called the Diyin Ruan, which means low-pitched Ruan. This is the alto size Xiao Ruan. It's 31 inches long from top to bottom, and the body has a 14-inch diameter. The headstock, as you can see, is very elaborate with a hook shape on it. Maybe it could be hung on a rack if you wanted to. The tuning gears are hidden away inside the head of the instrument, unlike in Western instruments where the gears are usually exposed. The tuning pegs are a lot larger than those of Western instruments, and they work. The strings are attached here in the front. The frets extend a whole 3/8 of an inch above the fingerboard, which is a huge departure from Western instruments. If you're playing a guitar, for example, then typically your finger would push the string down to the fingerboard behind the fret. With the Ruan, this doesn't happen at all because the string is much too high above the fingerboard to be able to reach the fingerboard. So it's much too high for the fingerboard to be touched. This instrument has 19 frets, with the 12th fret meeting the body of the instrument. The body is round in the shape of a banjo. The face and the back of the body are made of a very soft wood, possibly to generate the characteristic vibrating tone of the instrument. The tops of Western instruments are usually made of spruce and are varnished. This seems to be unvarnished. It also seems that the wood may be rather fragile, and it would be a good idea to be very careful with it so as not to bash it or crack it. I've noticed too that placing your fingertips on top of the instrument while playing seems to muffle the sound a bit. And the top of this one has 2 sound holes shaped like birds. All Ruans have 4 strings, like a mandolin. The tuning of the Xiao Ruan is D, D, A, D, A. Starting with the D below middle C, the A below middle C, the D just above right next to middle C, and then the A above middle C. Now, because of the height of the frets, playing chords as you would on a guitar or mandolin seems to be out of the question, although given the tuning, you could play power chords like a rock and roller does. And if you like to bend notes like some rock and rollers do, that's also easy on the Ruan. And playing a major scale is quite easy because you have the same finger pattern across all 4 strings. However, I'm more accustomed to instruments tuned in fifths, like the violin or the mandolin, and sometimes things get confusing for me as I go back and forth between the upper two strings and the lower two strings. If I were to tune the bottom two strings down a whole step, that would give me the same tuning as a viola, and that's something that some players do, but I haven't followed through with trying that yet. I first learned about this instrument via YouTube when I chanced upon various musicians, primarily from China and Singapore, making some really nice music with it. I then looked it up on eBay and found this instrument, which I thought was quite affordable, 190 bucks including the shipping, from China. So I ordered it, and just a few days later it arrived very quickly, very carefully packed, with a nice case. Here's the case. Lots of padding in there to protect the instrument. It included an extra set of strings and a pick. It was completely set up and ready to play and even almost in tune when it arrived. My only complaint is that the instrument arrived with a very, very strong pungent odor of tobacco, which still hasn't completely dissipated. The case didn't smell, just the instrument. You'd think that the air in China was already polluted enough that people wouldn't feel the need to smoke. So anyway, until next time, keep on picking and grinning.